we may or may not use the recording, but at
Yeah,
least we
that's
got
fair.
recorded.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Oh,
Okay.
this is 0. I was like, this
Yeah.
isn't right.
So
Okay.
this is version 0, right? Because we don't want to go through all hundreds of them, right? We just want to go through the 45, right? Figure out what's in scope and out of scope. Okay.
Yes.
All right, so we have these broken down into 3 things: display requirements, functional requirements, and system requirements. So the display, there's 4 elements of it. So the calendar view, the dashboard view, the detail view, and the list view. So I would say we maybe should actually switch these around and put the dashboard view first, because I think the dashboard is basic. It's just your home page. When you log
it's like the landing screen, the first one you see.
Right. Yeah. So this is, like your landing page. It's nothing fancy.
And then I would do calendar then detail.
Right.
Just getting more detailed as you go.
So really, the calendar and the list are actually equivalent, because you can click on a calendar or the list and get to the detail, right? So the calendar and list are just different ways to display the same data, and they would both link to the same page. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I was just looking, it was on the screen.
Yeah. So is that kind of a good high level for this display section?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and maybe it helps to group these, similarly, or maybe that's a good thing to draw out. But so the calendar view obviously is just going to display things in a calendar, and we'll have like an excerpt, which is this kind of summary overview. And then you click on the, assignment in the calendar, and it will take you to the detail view. And in the detail view, that's where you can change everything. So you can't change anything in the calendar view. You can only change things in the detail view. And then this is where we get into, so somebody said they want to display how many points each assignment is worth towards the overall grade, which is interesting. We wouldn't be able to, that would not be editable. Display if the assignment is individual or group work. Again, that wouldn't be editable either. Display how many posts.
Some of these.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, some of these, are we just making the assumption that it's possible?
Yeah. That information is in the app. So, so it can, that's not too hard. You're like, this is worth this many points. Here's the percentage. Here's the overall. But yeah. So then this one, 1.3.4, is really kind of like, you could break this out into a whole bunch of things, right? So this is kind of like it will be able to expand the assignment so the user can see all the assignment details.
Yeah, that's big.
Right. So that's all of the, the due date, just take your pick, all the assignment details. And then this is that, and from that assignment details page, you'll be able to link to the submission page. So then it will take you to okay, good, now I can turn this in.
Right.
But yeah, this 1.3.4 is big, and it is much bigger than these. These are little line items. So
yeah, I made note of it.
Great. So then you have the list view, which is same basic information as in a calendar view, but it's just in a list format. So it would just be like, this is everything that you have due in order of due dates. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that it actually says that. It just simply doesn't say what order. Oh, here it is. Order of priority.
Did we keep that wording?
Well, I think that there's another requirement somewhere that says that you can assign a priority to the, I think we need something else here too, though. That's like because I think what if it
Yeah.
doesn't have a priority, like
That refers you to
like due date.
the requirement.
Yeah. So, and then the difference here is that you can check these off. So there's going to be a check mark, and then there's a whole lot of functionality that revolves around that check mark.
Okay, I made a note on that too.
Yeah, there needs to be a default order. And it's also good to know he's not coming, well, I don't know. He said we don't have to trace this back, but at some point in one of our discussions, he said that he will come back to this version 0 and make sure that we haven't added any extra requirements. And that's part of our grade. So,
yeah.
So we can't change the scope.
Right.
Okay, so then we have the functional requirements, which is just like a list of things that it's supposed to do. So, we'll allow the user to edit any of the details of an assignment. Now, this actually became a little like question because someone said in the other document that you couldn't edit the due date, but we said any of the details. So it could be that if we want to say that you can't edit the due date, then we may need to define what details means. Which actually I would say we need to define what details means anyway.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, I agree with that. On the editing of the due date, I think what it came down to was we want to be able to edit the due date in the calendar. I think to make it earlier, but not later. So like if somebody wants to do the assignment on Thursday and set it to Thursday instead of setting it to Friday, they can make that adjustment to plan out their schedule more or less, and move it around to where they want it. But if we're going to have a separate date for like, can you put it in the calendar somewhere other than the date it's due?
Right.
But the can't edit the due date meant like that changing it in the app won't change it in the system.
Right.
That's where you can't change it. But where they want to be able to change it is in the application if, like I said, if they want to do it on another day.
You don't want to change the due date. You just want to move it.
Yeah, move it to a different date.
Mm-hmm.
So we would have to have a date for the due date and a date for, when it was going to be done. I'm not sure how you want to differentiate between that.
Right. And that's where it also gets hairy because that's something that several of us think it should have. But is it here in the requirements? You know what I mean?
It was in the original one because one of my people put it in there, so I guess it just didn't make the cut for.
Or it could just be that the way that it was described, we thought that edit any of the details applied. So it could just be that we define this.
The details
separate,
to be
separately, but tasks manually.
Okay.
So there's some here, like this right here, associate a task with an assignment. And I actually think this is the way you would probably do it, is that you can add a task manually and you would say rather that you would just make a task for when you want to turn that assignment in and associate it.
Yeah.
But
okay.
I don't know. So that's a little ambiguous. Maybe let's just come back to that.
Yeah. So maybe we cannot edit the due date since we've got the task.
So here's part of my argument. Well, I guess you always want to see what the due date was, but the due dates don't change. So if you change the due date, it's not you're going to have some sync that's overriding it because there isn't a constant sync. It just gets added. You know what I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I get it. Okay, let's come back to that. So allow the user to add tasks manually, associate a task with an assignment, allow the user to mark an assignment with a priority of high, medium, or low, allow the user to add notes to an assignment, allow the user to manually add recurring tasks, Allow the user to have the option to color code classes for easy viewing. Filter by assignment type, such as ponder, prove, teach one another, quiz, or exam.
I think, I'm not sure what detail you're wanting to go through right now, because there's a bunch of this stuff that's going to have to be defined for people. So are you wanting to mark all of that down now? I can go through and mark all of that Wednesday, but I don't know if that's going to be too late for people.
Yeah, let's just read through it real quick.
Okay.
So I think these are kind of quick. Filter assignments by the class, filter assignments by group or individual, by the semester, by completed, not completed, by date due, by view date, and then view them by the day, the week, the month. Sort by assignment type, we already said that. Oh, filter and sort. So actually these are all different. These are all a repeat. So you filter by all these things and you can sort by all these things, which
Right.
I'm not sure if that's clear, the difference, but.
Yeah. We can also define filter and sort to make the difference clear.
Right. Yep. That's great. Yep. Okay. And then I'm just going to highlight this too. Okay. Check off tasks. That's kind of like a big deal there on something. Okay, so then system, and we're almost done. It will be accessible for visually impaired, for screen readers. It will have an iCal URL for sync to my external calendar. So he said, we need to define what this is. And this is a big part of what is the scope. This is where we found this was a breaking point, is that this app will go external. We are not sucking in data from the internal, because then it winds up that we are then recreating all the functionality of like Google or Outlook.
So what you're saying is that iCal can come take from this, but we don't take from it?
It means that, because I actually work with a scheduling app, the schedule itself will just have a URL and you can add it to your, it's kind of like almost its own API, right? It's just your calendar's URL. And so you can add that to your Google Calendar, your Outlook calendar, or whatever. iCal's like a universal format for calendars, or whatever. Maybe iCal isn't, but maybe it's ICS or something, But I think that's the idea, is that this is supposed to be the universal calendar format that you can use in any other calendar application. So that you can,
I think for whoever is doing that, an explanation from someone like you explaining what this is, that this will just simply be a link that you can take and here's what you can do with it. And all we're saying is that it'll exist so that people understand, whoever comes across that next will know what it is. Okay. And I can actually even show how that works too. In another application. So then the BYU manager has an option to sync to a Google Calendar, and we honestly might not even say Google, but anyway, we should just say Google and keep it simple, actually. But it will automatically add all due dates, including our due, to the management system. It will automatically mark an assignment as complete after submission, protect users' privacy and security, automatically sync iLearn due dates to the app upon changes in iLearn, integrate with any learning management system, and be able to use Windows, iOS, Android, and operating systems. So the other thing that we saw that was out of scope that people were mentioning was that people started describing things that instructors can do in this. Okay.
And we aren't doing that. The instructors only interface with the learning management system. The instructors don't interface with this. This is just for students.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes. I was just writing it down.
Cool. What else do we need to go over?
That was the only strongly out of scope thing that you put. I almost wonder if you want to flip over to the one that he gave us feedback on and see if we want, because that has a lot more stuff in it. See if there's anything we want to clearly define as in scope or out of scope, or maybe just let them know what's out of scope so they don't put it in there.
Mm-hmm. Right, so, and for anybody who does watch this video, Brother Wild has just made some comments here about defining and specifying some things. So we will make sure that we highlight these in the document. So you want me to look for things that are scope? Like these obviously are things that need to still be finished.
Right.
So, like what external calendars are supported, like the application will sync on demand with a LMS and sync with external calendars when linked. So we just, need to define some of those. And that was if we go back to the requirements, we said Google Calendar, and I'm also okay if we limit it to that. And just like with the app that my company is building, we actually just link with the Google Calendar right now. Yeah. And so that's a reasonable expectation, right?
Right.
It doesn't have to do everything for everybody. Okay. Edit assignments, search and filter by various criteria. Search is actually not in our list. Okay. We have filter and sort.
Okay, then I'll put that in out of scope.
Yeah. Maybe it's not, but it's not in our list of requirements.
Nope.
And actually, searches are kind of challenging too, I think.
Yeah.
Assign tasks to assignments manually. We have to describe what LMS is. So here's something, right? Dashboard view shall display the number of assignments due in the next 24 hours. Was that in our requirements? Nope. Yeah. So this is something that I do think maybe we remembered from somewhere, but yeah, this wasn't. Yeah, that's not in the.
So I think when we rotate and have a set of new eyes, one of our things need to be when you're going through it to refer back to that version 0 and make sure that all of your requirements are in there. Make sure that because that wasn't in there. We just went through it.
Right. So verification is an element that we need to do.
Yeah. I just think we need to be really specific about what that is. Given the questions that I'm getting from my team, I think it needs to be more explicit. You need to check each one and make sure you can find some version of it or something similar from version 0, because there was nothing in there about displaying the assignments due in the next 24 hours.
Well, there we go. It's there.
Ooh, we missed it.
Yeah, we didn't read everything. So yeah, there it is. So 24 hours. And then contact.
Right, there you go.
Yeah, there it is.
Yep. Okay, good.
Yep.
I was going to say, I thought we'd been really careful with that, so.
Yeah.
I was surprised.
How many points worth towards my overall grade? I think we actually said it a little bit differently than that.
It was phrased slightly differently, but we did have the requirement in there.
It is. How many points each assignment is worth? Okay. Points?
Yeah.
Okay. Seems different. Group. Okay. This looks like it's very much just what we just read. List view, validity of input. Okay. Course altering changes to assignments. This is kind of ambiguous, right?
Definition not allow students. I think that this is just basically saying that the things you put into this app won't change anything in the learning management system.
Right. There's not a reverse sync.
Right.
Right. But that's not what that says. So.
No, but I think that's what they mean.
Student level users to perform yeah. Never allow users to assign. So this is a little bit interesting because we can't just define everything that won't happen, right? Or we would be here forever. So these are like,
right.
Um,
But he does say we need to include what's out of scope. So I guess maybe, something.
he did? Like,
Yeah, I think that was in the list of things. Like we say what's in scope, but we also have to say what's out of scope. We can always double check.
Yeah. Yeah, we could define some, yeah. And maybe I can just write up like a summary as well, right, from our discussion here, or that's kind of what you're writing. So like same thing, application will only accept iCal calendar formatted files for linking other calendar to the application's calendar. So this is out of scope because we aren't linking other calendars to the application's calendar. It's only going external, not internal. It's going out, not in.
And that's 3.2.1.4?
0.3, 3.2.1.3.
Okay. I can barely see it. It's tiny.
Oh, sorry. Due dates shall be unalterable, but reminders to complete assignments can be applied to after the assignment is due. That is more than one requirement. That would need to be broken up. But reminders to complete assignments can be applied to after the assignment is due. I'm not even sure what that means.
Reminders to complete assignments can be. Oh, so I think this is because like sometimes in the classes you'll have one thing that comes through, but you have 2 due dates for it, and you only get one. Like you get like the initial database post, but you also need to follow up on Friday. So it's saying you need to be able to still add things to it even once it's passed.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So just being able, which kind of goes along with the being able to edit any part of the assignment. So like adding a reminder. I don't know. Okay, adding a reminder to complete an assignment. So actually seems to be the same thing as above here. Yeah. Okay. There's 16 pages, so I don't think we want to like go through all 16.
No. Yeah. No.
So, but I think that what I do see that is important here is that there does need to be an overall scope understanding of the scope of the whole thing.
Right. So right now I don't have anything specifically listed under in scope, but under out of scope I have anything to do with instructors because they don't interact with this application, only the management system. Search, this is not a feature offered, so it's out of scope. And then I put the 3.2.1.3 that nothing will reverse sync, so that one's out of scope as well. That's the only specific thing I have that's out of scope. Was there anything else that he mentioned? I know towards the bottom
that is out of scope. Did you mention that?
Yeah, that was 3.2.1.3.
No, that was the one that was about reverse sync that was to the learning management system.
Okay.
And then the other is, not like we don't bring in any calendar items. We don't import any from a calendar. We only export.
Okay.
It's very interesting that I'm just realizing the similarities between this, at least the calendar stuff, and
I thought it was kind of odd too. When you mentioned it, I was like, how have you never brought that up before? It's like very similar to what we're doing.
It's very similar, yeah. Yeah. So
this, like, I don't know what this is, like right there that you're looking at, 3.8.
This is going on here. Corey was talking about, oh, no, never mind. I thought he was talking about things like just additional information, but that's not what this is. Sample of inputs and outputs. Inputs to the system may include user account credentials from the user, class registration, for each of users' classes, the assignments due, time and dates.
Okay.
Any attached, okay. iCal files from the user. See, this is where like that understanding isn't yet clear because we're not getting anything from the user. This file is something that application creates.
Yeah. So I definitely think if you did like a little thing about iCal, because those are spread out throughout it, and I think that might make it clear to everyone.
Yeah, let me stop sharing. Let me pause and I can do it real quick. Hang on. We're just gonna resume. Share. Okay. All right, so if anybody's watching, this is what we're talking about with a schedule sync or with an iCal. So I'm going to click my schedule sync here. And so you can see here that I can actually grab this calendar link. Or let me click on it. It's a calendar like feed. All right. Let me actually do this. Give it a second to think about it. Now I've clicked too many things. There we go. So you can see here that here's the calendar link. So all I do is copy and paste that. And then I will come over to like my Google Calendar. And I will add this to my Google Calendar. And then these will automatically get sucked in. And this is, of course, going to, you know, boot up slow because I'm on display. So, like, I would go here and click plus, and I would enter this calendar. But you can see that this is, like, this right here is what sucks that in. So it's actually listed as a calendar over here, and I can, you know, display it or not display it. So like if I uncheck that. So anyway, that's what that does, and it's kind of universal for anything with a calendar app. So does that help?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So let's see if I can make it pop up. Anyway, so that's that. Okay, so like I would say from URL. Wow, the Wi-Fi is being so slow.
So what we're saying is that our application will produce a URL for their calendar so that they can bring it over to Google.
Yep.
But we're not taking in any calendars like this calendar is doing right now.
That's correct. So you can see I just put in URL of the calendar. I click add calendar, which I'm not going to do because I actually have already added this calendar. And then everything that is in that calendar shows up in my Google Calendar, and I can manage, you know, everything from my Google Calendar. So if I want to,
right?
Yeah. So
okay,
cool. Is this good? What else do we want to go? Is this good?
I sent you on Slack just the little document that I was typing up as we were writing, so you can edit it. Okay. It's just got the specific notes that you called out as we were going through them.
Okay.